What is up, grinders? Welcome to an MMA Crunch Time before lock. I am your host, Mike Brown, aka H3 Buddha, here with You're not Squirrel, it's Blender. Jordan Cooper. Blender, what's going on, man? We had to bring you in. Crazy card, lots of cancellations, lots of weight misses. Did you see that? What was happening on the scales yesterday? That was wild.
Even I missed weight. I even weighed myself. It turns out I'm 2 pounds over than what I should be. So I don't know what's going on in this card.
Something in the water for sure. But now we're dealt a huge value in Gutierrez. That is a guy that does not score a lot. That's the starting point for when you're looking at fantasy, how you're going to build your lineups. Usually the starting point being the main event, but give me your overall thoughts because it is a crap show, but I'd imagine you like to be different, and there's very easy ways to be different on this slate.
I mean, there's easy ways to be different, but also realize it's still only a 10-fight slate. This is a very small slate. The dupe factor is going to be extremely high. If you're playing the large field contest, be much, much more inclined to play Contrarian. The smaller field stuff, you can get away with some constructions, but maybe not so much for others. I may have a different opinion than what you or even DJ would have. I'm playing 3 lineups today. All 3 lineups will have Chris Gutierrez in it. Because I think there are better ways to get different, better ways. Because we talked about it. We talked about it on yesterday's show on Friday morning. The multiple ways to get different are this: either fade Gutierrez, fade the main event, or fade like Barlow or Charalampos. Just fade that. If you do one of those things, you're probably going to be different enough. And in large field, you probably need to do 2 of those things. If I had to choose, I just think that the spreads of these fights are wide enough that even if Gutierrez wins and only scores 80 points, it's possible that none of these underdogs none of them win. Just none of them win. Yep. And I mean, we talk about slates where not many underdogs win, and the highest, some underdog that lost that scored 56 points is in the optimal lineup. Well, this is that type of slate. This is that type of slate, regardless. Even if Basharat was still on the slate and Gutierrez was, plus 220, we'd still be talking about a construction that only contains one high-scoring underdog. I'm going to take that approach.
Is it kind of like groups? You're making groups of those fighters that have the ceilings as underdogs, right? Hoping one of them gets there.
Right. Well, that would be the other one. I mean, look, if you play Gutierrez at 7,000, you don't have to play any of these other guys. You literally don't have to play anyone $7,600 or below if you play Gutierrez. So it's you're just playing for no underdogs to win, and Gutierrez being the only underdog price fighter to really win, and then getting different elsewhere. The other approach is the TJ approach. You fade Gutierrez, and you hope one of these guys down here not only wins, but puts up more points than Gutierrez in a way. It's not Gutierrez loses, obviously.
Let's talk about Gutierrez right away. Let's do it, right? This is a guy who historically will be a leg kicker at distance. This is a guy that does not score points in bunches. Problem is, you nailed it. It's 10 fights. So the math behind it, I imagine, right? He becomes that much more valuable because you need a winner down in that range. But this is a guy that's averaging 65 points. And granted, he's got a hell of a lot of wins in the UFC. I don't even know, maybe twice he's gotten over 100 points. The Mr. Burns hands were going to come out, whether it be ugly women's MMA or this fight.
You're making valid points. Okay, I just want to highlight, you're making absolutely valid points. The thing that a lot of people that play MMA DFS that disregard when they game log watch. And obviously, we want to use past data to inform our decisions. And Chris Gutierrez fights in a style that is not all that conducive to finishes and high-scoring decisions. What people don't realize is that if you looked at the data for the past 5-6 years, scoring is also dependent on win probability as well. So we talk about. We'll talk about the 3 female fights on the slate. But Mike, me and you talk about this all the time when it comes to women's MMA, but we don't transfer it to anything else. Mm-hmm. We have these fights where a woman is a minus 400 favorite, and you go, well, she's not really known as a finisher. It's like, well, this fight may be, oh my God, she should have been a minus 4,000 favorite because she just completely destroyed the other person. Sometimes it ends up the other way. Sometimes it's like the plus 400 favorite should have been the minus 5,000 favorite. So we don't. I mean, I've played tons of Gutierrez slates before. Gutierrez is either the underdog or a slight favorite in like all of the fights that he fights. So like
split decision type of guy.
Split decision. But what would you expect if Gutierrez's fight is a pick'em fight, and even if Gutierrez is a minus 140 favorite, he's probably going to fight in a way where stay on the outside, touch the leg.
Risk-averse.
Right, risk-averse, anything like that. He's fighting a guy that making his UFC debut that shouldn't even be in the UFC. Maybe has some strong hands, but you can't expect the defense to be there. You can't expect the experience to be there. Gutierrez is a minus 550 favorite, priced at 7,000. I mean, we'll say the same about Zalal, right? Because look, you're going to make the case for Zalal. The bear case for Zalal at minus 440, going, Zalal doesn't score well either, right? It's like Zalal is facing Jarno Aarons.
But Aarons has been taken down in every fight and has 24% takedown defense. I don't even have to look at that. That one's ingrained in my brain because, that's what we like. We have to go for the takedown artists. And when they can dominate, like you said, right? Minus 1,000.
Yeah, but he's 9,400. Yeah, you're making the case when he's 9,400. Exactly. Chris Gutierrez is 7,000. And this fight could start, and a minute into the fight, you may go, oh, yeah, Gutierrez should have been a minus 2,500 favorite. And he finishes Quang Lee in the first round and scores 104 points.
When have we had the 13,700 combined fighter? One of those two is going to get the win. So Lee's right there below him. And you made my point for at least taking a shot on Lee. I don't need the salary relief. No, but it's the same play, is it not, as Gutierrez? And if it's a split decision,
well, no, Quang Lee's a 400 underdog. It's not the same play. Not the same.
Okay. At the price range, fine.
Well, yeah, sure, but I mean, he's a Hail Mary. Quang Lee needs a Hail Mary knockout against a guy that doesn't get knocked out. So, I mean, good luck to you on that.
You think he needs a knockout to hit optimal at 6,700?
I don't think he wins a decision. So, no, yeah, he's gonna need to finish, right?
Again, all of Gutierrez's fights have been close. So regardless, it does.
Because he's been in close fights. He's closely lined fights.
Yeah,
let's look at the past Gutierrez fights. I mean,
fight odds will have
never see Gutierrez at 9K on any of these slates.
I mean, probably against what? Chinny Edgar, maybe, right? Like old man Edgar might be the biggest favorite he was in the last 4 or 5
Right, and even that is not like that big of a. I mean, like Gutierrez would give him respect enough to not, just go balls to the wall.
Then let me ask you this: do you think any of the single-digit ownership fighters can win?
Well, of course they can. I mean, they all have a higher chance of winning than their ownership. So I'm with like the Squirrel Patrol
that was
type
my point.
Right? But the thing is, I'm not. It's a 10-fight card. You're not Xing anyone out, right? But I'm playing 3 lineups, so I'm making the case for me playing 3 lineups in mid-sized contests. And I'm like, what approach do I want to take on this slate? And my approach is to play Gutierrez, and then let's take a look at some of these female fighters, and let's take a look at fading a 9K fighter. Let's take a look at making a lineup that's only 49-2, right? That type of lineup that includes Gutierrez. That's an absolutely viable approach, but it's also viable to say I'm going to spend most of my salary and not play Gutierrez and not play the main event. It's like, okay, that's absolutely fine as well. I think that's a higher variance approach, and that's more of a large field approach.
I'm actually more surprised that you aren't going against like the Barlow, Gregorio bills. You seem like the type of guy that would like to go on a Williams, a Mariscal, those types of plays.
What do you think I'm doing, Mike?
Yeah,
what do you think I'm doing?
I'm probably exactly that, right?
Right. Essentially, I mean, my lineups will not have more than one of Barlow, Charalampos, and a main event fighter, and Spivak, essentially Spivak, right? So it's like I'll play Gutierrez in all three lineups, and then I'll play one Charalampos lineup, one Barlow lineup, and one Spivak, like that. Do that, and in my non-Spivak lineup, I have Tybura, and in my Charalampos lineup, I don't have any of the main event, and I'm like doing that. But I have a lot of the female fight. To me, the female fights are the keys
That's the
to this, like the
valuable one.
mid-range female fights. I think two of them. No, truthfully, I think all three of them have ceiling potential. Santos Chandler maybe a little bit less so, but I think they're going to go dramatically under-owned. I mean, even if Cararosa is 35% owned, I think Cararosa, I mean, she could put up 100 points in a decision, right? Luciano, the Luciano Alencar fight could, I mean, I think there's a finish in that fight by either side.
There was going to be in the Contender Series. Somehow
right.
the grappler hung in there. Yeah, the women's fights are valuable because of the low ownership. Let me just stay on that upper echelon for 1 second. Are you looking at Gregorio and Barlow as the same exact play, essentially, but one of them's 8,800 and one's 9,300? Because it looks like Vegas is saying first round finish for that type of fight. Then, right, I know you by now, if it gets out of that first round, it just falls off a cliff, right? Like, but one guy's 88, maybe he gets to like 85 points in a win, right? Like, does it come down to like that type of ceiling for either of these two guys when you're mixing them in?
Yeah, and I don't even think price matters that much. Like I think I think I've already built. I haven't confirmed anything. I built a lineup where I'm playing Charalampos, where I have enough money to play Barlow. Like I mean, like so, like to me that it doesn't. The price doesn't matter, and also it's a 10-fight card. Let's be clear. There's only 10 fights. There's only going to be 6 winners, right? Assuming no contests and draws and stupid stuff that happens. Simply getting 6 winners, I mean, that's hard enough as it is. There's only going to be, if Charalampos scores 85 points at 8,800, he could still be optimal on a 10-fight card. I mean, that could, if it was 14, 15 fights, no, that way more people could outscore him. So like, you're not going to. I feel that the winning GPP score in the large field contest, my hot take, if I was on the expert survey this week, my hot take would be that the optimal lineup scores less than 620 points. I would be bold enough to say even a sub 600, but maybe 620. Maybe one guy gets a quick win bonus, so it's like 125, and then you'll have a 90, 90, 90, 82, 78 type of line. Like,
basically, yeah, need them to get out of the first round. One of the big gut boys, the inside the distance lines, to go past the first round. But let me talk about a binary matchup. I love this fight. Even TJ, I believe in chat, said it. Winner of Denise and Williams. It's a binary fight, and this one is so damn binary. You have a guy who was taken down by Austin Lane last time and controlled in the first round in Denise. Denise, I would not say was an A++ prospect by any stretch of the imagination, but he has the kickboxing. He's got undefeated record. He's got a lot of power and not going to have a lot of volume. But that first fight, he was taken down easily by Lane. If Williams can implement that plan over 3 rounds, he's going to be right where he always is, 110 plus points, if he can do that. I'm personally going to be surprised if that fight busts, because I feel like at any time, Denise could knock his ass out if that power continues to be there through the fight. And like you mentioned, salary, could Denise get there in like a 3rd round finish? I mean, if he gets taken down the 1st round and 2nd round, I love this fight. I like the leverage on Denise. I'm more surprised that people are 40% on Williams. It's because you're able to get to him, right?
Yeah, but I think it'll end up being a little bit lower. I think Williams will come in at like 35%. I think Denise will come in higher. We have him at 16. I think he ends up at like 22 to 25, maybe. I view Denise. I mean, remember, to me, salary is not an option. And the
On
whole
a normal
goal,
slate, totally different
right?
fight.
The whole goal of Denise is to outscore Chris Gutierrez. It's quite possible that Denise wins this fight and still doesn't do it with a third round knockout, right? Because
After getting
Carl Williams
blanketed.
right. Uh, I think there's much more likelihood on this slate that Carl Williams is optimal, just because his 3-round decision wins could easily top 100 points if he successfully wrestles and then obviously doesn't do anything because he doesn't finish anyone, apparently. I think more people are going to be playing Barlow. More people are playing Charalampos.
Do you wish Williams was lower owned? I
I,
almost feel like it.
I wish he was lower owned, but I mean, I
Yeah.
think he's still under. I still, at 35%, I think he's going to be under owned. I think more people are going to play Charalampos, Barlow. I think Williams will be third out of the bunch, then Zalal, then Cheppy Mariscal, because I think a lot of people are on Damon Jackson this week. I'm fine with Chepe Mariscal also. So like
But
I'm
Cheppy's
playing
going to be forced into a barn burner and strikes because I don't even think I've ever seen a Damon Jackson fight where he's not going with the fast pace. So I feel like that helps out Mariscal.
Well, I think what helps out Mariscal is that Damon Jackson can't take a punch, and Damon Jackson's going to go into wrestle, and if Chepe could stuff a takedown or two, Damon Jackson could be in big trouble. I get the case for Damon Jackson's upside.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Chepe is horrible takedown defense. I mean, it's not like he's bad on the mat or anything like that, but if Damon Jackson gets control on the mat, he could score pretty damn well at 7,100.
But those are the two guys I'm looking at.
If I'm playing a Gutierrez lineup, then it makes sense to me that I play a Chepe lineup with Gutierrez because the non-Gutierrez lineups will have a lot of Damon Jackson in it.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's just frustrating price ranges because Denise and Jackson are somewhat the same play when it comes to, potentially outscoring Gutierrez. It's just like if you're starting a lineup with Denise and Jackson, that seems to be a little bit too crazy, right? Like
no, I mean you could do that in large field. There's no reason to do that. They both would have to outscore Gutierrez, or Gutierrez would have to lose outright or something, right? I mean, the thing is that you don't want Gutierrez to lose outright because then Kang Lee ends up outscoring Denise and Jackson. So I'm not playing any. None of my lineups have two fighters that are under 76.
Yeah, no, I get it. But I wanted to save those women's fights, the middle range. After this, we have RotoGrinders Premium. Get ahead on the competition with RotoGrinders Premium. We've got an option for whatever level you're looking for. Get yourself a 6-month combo subscription at an exclusive price of $469.99. That's a savings of $250 instead of buying 6 months of individual combo premium. If you're not a fan of that commitment, you can get a month of RotoGrinders combo premium for $120. Those that want to get a test run in buying can dip their toes in the water with a 3-day $19.99. Check out the links in the description below for more info. Mr. Burns' hands are going to be out for the women's fights, right? Ugly women's MMA, that's your range. Carl Rosa, I want her to get back to form. Do you remember? We were probably playing her back when she was like, all right, I'm signing up for Carl Rosa. She's got her 100 points. If she can win the fight, she gets 100 points. Get back to form, lady. Come on, Carl.
Well, also, in this fight against Kienzad, I mean, Carl Rosa, I mean, we've seen her fall in love with her hands, and obviously she's high volume in that regard, but, I mean, she'll have a clear wrestling advantage against Kienzad. I mean, if she's smart, I would think, stay on the feet for half the round and then take her down and keep her there. And that's it. So I think Rosa out of the women's fighters, I mean, I think she's going to be the most popular one. I think a lot of people are going to play Toledo Lenkar at 7,700 for the supposed, and I'm using the term supposed, takedown upside. I wouldn't be shocked if Luciano gets a finish in this fight. If you look at that, I think people are overweighting like the Contender Series fight a little too much. I don't necessarily think Toledo Linkar is like a great wrestler.
No,
right?
no, not by any. She's
Right.
just
So
like a little bulldog, right? And she
right,
has to rely on her gas tank getting diminished by going for those takedowns.
right. And typically in women's MMA, the more physical fighter wins. I mean, that's why I would prefer Chelsea Chandler over Yana Santos. My fear in the Santos Chandler fight is that
You and I, our favorite thing, right? One girl wins one round, next round the other girl takes over, and then there's not a lot to be had.
It's not even that, Mike. It's that like the way that Yana Santos wins fights is just like it's almost like bad heavyweight MMA. It's just like get you in the clinch, push you against the fence, and just like hope that the referee doesn't tell them to break. I mean, like it's
Did
just
you see her
very bad for
transformation?
DFS scoring.
I mean, I know this has no merit to fantasy, but have you seen her transformation? She looks amazing. Like she's on a lot of supplements that make her look a lot better. A lot of six-pack.
What type of supplements are we talking about? Supplements?
Yes, those ones. Yes, the ones that make you.
Don't doesn't that have to do with more about being a parent now and pregnancy that taking those supplements?
Yeah. It's ugly. It's ugly. I mean, Big T came in chat and even said, "Blender, you gonna tell him not to lock Gutierrez on this slate?"
Well, I don't. No. Hold on. Tony's here.
Tony's in here saying, "Yeah."
Well, I'm playing 3 lineups and I'm playing all 3 Gutierrez lineups. But I understand that there's in large field contest. Feel free to play non-Gutierrez lineups and feel free to get different elsewhere. I would suggest not playing a Charalampos, Spivak, Barlow, Gutierrez lineup like that. That would be the one that I'm not playing.
That makes me throw up.
Big T, I'm not playing that lineup. But yeah, out of all the things I just you run the sims. We have our simulation output here. Chris Gutierrez has like a 50% shot of being optimal, and that's just being optimal. He also probably has a much higher chance of just being in the winning GPP lineup. So yeah, I know
you're talking about sims,
right? I'm contrarian, but I'm not stupid. So like, even if you're playing large field contests, you should be playing at least some good. Even TJ is playing 19% Chris Gutierrez. So like, that doesn't mean you just X him out or.
You talk about Sims. We have a SimLabs mobile the tool for you guys now. The expert DFS lineup generation tool from RotoGrinders and Fantasy Labs, known as SimLabs, just got even better. In addition to the desktop tool on the web, you can now download the SimLabs mobile app from the App Store and use the power of DFS simulations in the palm of your hand. Available combo and single sport subs. You can buy a la carte in the App Store as well. Check it out today. I've got a question for you. If you had to fade one person on this slate, I think I know who it would be after you talked about this fight a minute ago. Who would be the one that you're going to fade?
I mean,
if you had to.
We just talked about
I know.
Yana Santos is a minus 143 favorite, plus 800 inside the distance. I mean, I don't know how many points she's going to score with clinching against the fence, but it's not going to be high. So she's the one. I mean, what?
My problem with her is that she's forced into a brawl with Chelsea. I'm going to have to game log.
Run away from her. She's going to try to clinch her. Run away. Just run away. Just turn around.
That was funny. Yeah, gets clocked once and just starts running again. Oh man.
She's not going to get caught once. I mean, if Yana Santos makes the optimal lineup, then I just lose. Okay, so that's just the way it is, right? Right, and even Big T in chat. See, me and Big T are rarely on the same side of things, but the issue is even at 75 points, he still might be good. It's only 10-5. Mm-hmm. That's literally like some of these underdogs may not win. I mean, this is a slate where I look at this and go, I don't even know if any of these guys win outside of Gutierrez. I mean, to me, the interesting guy that people are going to underrate,
Kazama,
for rightful purpose, is Kazama.
He's got the style to win big too. He's a grappler at heart.
Right. And it's so mega leverage against Charalampos. Just realize if you're playing Kazama today, he's either going to score 90 points or barely over 90 points, or he's going to score like 3 points because he just got like knocked down 4 times. Like this guy is essentially he's a one-dimensional jiu-jitsu guy that is a grappler that can't wrestle, right? So it's kind of hard to get someone to the mat if he can't wrestle and has almost no striking ability on the feet. So, like, that's why Charalampos is a minus 120 inside the distance line. But if Kazama can get a takedown, Kazama can consider how you treat Mackenzie Dern in women's MMA, right? maybe not this past time, but in Ryan Hall, like that type of guy, like someone like that, where like if this doesn't get to the ground, this guy is just a sitting duck.
Ryan Hall could kick though. Ryan Hall threw those kicks from distance and all this stuff to keep people away.
Ryan Hall did the rolly rolls. He was rolling all around. Maybe Kazama
has
can
upside,
do that.
but he can't take a punch. It's durability. It comes down to durability. That's the damn problem. And that inside the distance just continued to crash through the week too for Gregorio.
I'm playing Kazama in one of my lineups, Mike.
I like it. I mean, why not?
But I'm paying up for it. See, the thing is that it's a Kazama Gutierrez lineup, and I'm paying for like Barlow and Williams and Rosa. I mean, like, dude, the sky's the limit. Like, if you play two guys under this price, I mean, you can do anything you want. And I even think that lineup leaves 300 or 400 on the table. So yeah. But understand, I'm just like, Kazama is a
high risk.
Kazama has a better shot at winning than Kang Lee or Jarno Aarons, right? I mean, and the fact that Charalampos is going to be mega owned, I mean, just adds to it. So, like, I think Denise has a better shot at a knockout against Carl Williams, but I mean, if I can knock out all these Charalampos lineups at like 55, 60% owned with like a 12% owned Toshiyama Kazama, I'll try.
And then nobody wants
one of my lineups.
Nobody wants to play Varetnikov. Nobody wants to play him. And he's against Barlow, who I think everybody's bought into the left hand of God. You know, I touch you, you go down. But here's Barlow, too, is one guy that I felt like didn't have a lot of volume in his fights. But he does. Like, this guy scored 94 points in a third-round finish. People are going to – unfortunately, we buy into it because of salary. We can easily get to him, yada, yada, yada. But I would tend to say Barlow will eventually bust. I don't necessarily see that
in this matchup.
Not this spot.
I don't think this spot. I mean, can you take a shot at Varetnikov? Yeah, sure. But you can take a shot on any of these. I mean, like, I just look at Kazama as clear. I could see the clear path to 100 points with him.
Mm-hmm.
It's narrow. It's one dimension.
It's all spin based.
Right. I just don't think Varetnikov wins in the first round enough that I care. Right. Like, you got Gutierrez there at 7,000. Like the thing is that if I'm going to take a shot on someone that's not Gutierrez down here, I want to take on someone that can actually score 90 points, because I think Gutierrez, his floor, like, he's probably scoring about 75 points, somewhere between 75 and 90 points a lot of the time. And I made the case to not be surprised if Gutierrez puts up over 100 points in a matchup where you go, well, how did people not play Gutierrez at 7,000 as a minus 550 favorite, but he gets a second round knock, TKO or something? And then I made the case before is that we're going back to you can't judge fighters just on their past performance in matchups where there's a difference. Notice. I mean, people do it the other way. You know how many times some guy was a minus 600 favorite in their first fight that, we played, minus 500 in their next fight, and now they're in a pick'em. Now they're minus 120 at the $8,200, $8,000 fight, and they go, look at the past two fights. He scored 128 points, dominated on the mat and whatever, and then he comes out and loses. It's like, yeah, because he was a minus 600 favorite the last two fights. That's why he scored all the points, because the other guy couldn't defend himself.
Listen, Chris Gutierrez has a projection on DraftKings Pick 6. Take a wild guess what his projection is. It's not what you and Tony have been saying.
What is it?
84.5 points over or under. Interesting line.
Yeah, but if you locked in 80, if you gave me 84, if you gave me
You're taking
84 and a half points at 7,000, I'll just play him in every lineup. Good luck. Good luck to everyone else in this price range trying to beat that. So, I mean,
Exactly. I love the DK pick 6 because it gives you other opportunities to kind of hedge out your lineups, especially if you're taking a deep stance at things. But we do have a DK pick 6 Firefox extension. In case you missed it, RotoGrinders premium subscribers can use the RG DK pick 6 browser extension for Firefox to have our premium props and pick'em tools overlaid on the screen so you can quickly and easily find the lines with the best values, make the expert picks all in one place. Download it now for Firefox today. Let's wrap this thing up, man. This is such an ugly card. My head's just spinning. Like
why
I
don't we
can't.
wrap this up? We're 30 minutes in. Typically, we only do 30 minutes.
Yep.
You know what the fight? What I think we have not even touched.
Oh my God, we haven't even talked about the main event.
Right.
And normally we're like, oh,
or the highest price fighter.
Oh,
no,
yeah,
I
we haven't
mentioned
talked about
Zalal. I
Zalal.
mentioned Zalal. Is to me is the kind of the same fighter as Gutierrez.
I think Zalal is more. The problem is he doesn't go for the pitter patter. You know my favorite thing, right? You're in top position, you're holding him down, and then he just holds. He's not doing these little sneaky scoring abilities.
Well, maybe he will this fight, Mike. He's a minus 444. I'm making the same case for Zalal that I'll make for Gutierrez. When do we say you said Zalal being 9,400? This is a guy that we typically play at 7,200 because he's the underdog in most of his fights. Here he's just getting a piecemeal. Here's a free win matchup. So maybe the pitter patter comes back, Mike.
8
Use
minutes
some
of
pitter
control
patter
time.
Zalal.
William Denise, Gomes. Gomes, a striking-based fighter. 3 takedowns, 8 minutes of control time. The pitter patter in that was also limited to only 70 strikes. Not significant, just strikes, period. We haven't talked about the main event. Talk about it now. I mean, I don't like the main event. I think the problem is when it's a competitive one, it's just going to fall off a cliff for scoring. It's going to be a kickboxing. It's going to be against the cage. They turn each other around 10 times. My problem is Tybura always gets kind of beat up on the optics of things. So I feel like the deeper the fight goes, Spivak might look better on paper. But what about grappling? Like Spivak's kind of just been this guy that's been He hasn't been a high, prospect. Neither of these guys are great prospects, right? But Tybura has a little bit of control. He won the first fight. I don't look at that and say anything great, but what did he score in the first fight? Like nothing, right?
I mean, personally,
87
I don't think
points.
Mike, I view Tybura as someone that is a competent real life fighter, but actually is quite overrated for the division. And Spivak, I kind of view the same way. Just maybe he's faced a little bit better competition. I mean, obviously he faced Cyril Gahn. I don't think this fight scores well. I mean, obviously it's heavyweight, so anything can happen in the first 2 rounds. But here's the back and forth you have to go in your head. I don't think the winner of this fight scores well, but it's a 10-fight card. And if this goes 5 rounds, I believe that one of the 2 fighters in this fight makes the optimal lineup more likely than not, because there's only 10 fights on the card. So like at this price, if someone scores 88 points in a 5-round decision win, I think that's a good shot at making the optimal at 8,300, 7,900. So it really comes down to, I think a 3rd round TKO win with 72 points, a 4th round. I don't know how this fight necessarily plays out, because this could play out on the mat with Spivak being in control. This fight could be completely on its feet. If this fight is completely on its feet as a heavyweight fight, like, I'm fine Xing it out. So there's multiple.
It's a floor fight. Honest to God, it fits the craziness of this slate. If it's like you're buying into a great floor, but is there really the ceiling?
But Mike, I'm not even sure if it's a great floor, because like either of these guys could get knocked out in the first round. I mean, I would not be shocked if either of these guys literally TKO'd the other in the first round. I don't think it happens, but it's the price the thing that's that I need to weigh so much is that for the price and for the size of the slate, it's hard to fade a 5 rounds of action on a slate where I'm not even sure that like dude, if one of these guys score 85 points, I think that could be optimal, right? If Charalampos, gets a second round win, if Williams, doesn't score enough, if Barlow doesn't get a first round win, we could be looking at Spivak wins with 87 points in a 5-round decision, and he ends up being the 3rd highest scorer on the slate. And you need him. You need him. I don't think there's that high scoring of a slate. So getting 5 rounds, whatever side you want, I think.
Well, you're not stacking in cash, right? I don't think you take it. You do?
What? You don't think you can play this fight at all in cash?
No. I said stack. I said
think it's viable. I think you could stack this fight in cash.
Interesting. Okay. We don't usually talk cash, but I was just curious.
The question is, do you have to? I don't think you have. If I was on the expert survey, I would say that the safest route to go would be to stack the main event.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like if you just played Spivak and then you played, you did Gutierrez, Spivak, and then you just played like Luciano Rosa, Charalampos, Carl Williams, like that type of, like you could do that also, right? Yeah. Truthfully in cash, I'd prioritize trying to get 5 wins more so than the floor points. And I think once you play Gutierrez, you could play 5 favorites in your lineup. I don't think Danny Barlow is a necessity in cash, right? So if you don't have the money to go up to 9,300, I don't think that's a necessity. But I think Charalampos is. I think you're playing an $8,800 fighter at minus 250 win odds and minus 120 inside the distance. Charalampos is in your cash line.
Yeah, just because he's double tagged on lineup HQ as well. He is a great play on this slate. It's a wild one. Plenty of time out there. Let's take a peek at the lobby. Looks like it's slowly filling up there, but plenty of time to get your lineups in. Check out Liam's article as well on the site. Next week, Duplessis Adesanya, 305. Not bad. We need more.
I think that card is very good. I looked at it. I'm not a big fan of the main card.
I'm scrolling down. I'm looking main card. Prates is on a main card already.
Well, that's the point. There you go.
That's the state of MMA. What?
I mean, DFS is one thing. I'm fine with any decent slate for DFS purposes, but just from it, like people are paying for this. I mean, I'm not an Izzy guy, so I don't view Izzy fights as exciting. So I was never going to be, I want to pay for an Izzy fight, but I don't know. This next week's card doesn't seem. I think the 308 card that looks pretty good.
What are they going to do for Noche? We only have 10 fights on the DraftKings slate for that, right? They're not adding any more fights. They said that's it. We have the Noche card at the Sphere. It's going to be 10 fights. I would love to see a showdown slate for that, and a big one at that, because it's such a big event. What do you want for that card?
Well, I don't mind 10 fights as long as
it's priced accurate.
Play badly, and that they play lineups that are duped 100 million times, right? I'm assuming
this is a case study.
Yeah, well, the Big T was just here, so he's there just to troll me, because that Big T is going to win the large field contest with 144 of his friends. I mean, so good luck to him on the duplicated lineup, and I'll play my less duplicated lineup in the mid stakes contest and try to win outright. And
you know what I'll do? I'll play against Chris Gutierrez and take the split decision win for Lee. And on that,
good luck on that. I think me and Tony have a better shot.
Yeah, I will definitely agree with that. For producer TJ, for Blender, myself, we will see you guys next week for UFC 305.